Alright, so I'm starting with my spray painted white tumbler here. You can either do a white base like I am doing here, or you can do a peach base that was included in your crate, whichever you prefer. I found that the white base did make the colors pop a little bit more, whereas with the peach base, they kind of blended in together. So I just mixed up 5 milliliters each part A and B epoxy, and I'm just applying a very thin coat over the top of my spray paint just to seal that before we place our tape down. Once that's fully cured, I'm going to take my tumbler tape with my design already cut, and then I'm just going to make sure that the edges are trimmed as much as to the design as I can get it. Now, I did not cut my lines evenly, so when I placed this on my tumbler, my seams did not line up completely properly. So just make sure you cut it as straight as you possibly can. This way, when you wrap it around the tumbler, your seams will line up perfect. So once I've got that on my tumbler, I'm just going all the way around using my little squeegee tool just to make sure that I don't have any bubbles in the tape, because when we go to pull back the paper backing, if you do have bubbles, it will be a little bit noticeable. So just try and flatten it out as best you can. Try not to get any of those creases. And also one thing to keep in mind here too is with the tape, you don't really want to pull it back or peel it off if you misplace it, because if you have a thin layer of epoxy, there is a chance that it'll peel that up. So now I'm just using my little weeding or needle pen, I don't know what it's called, but it's super convenient to use for this type of design because it just pulls the paper backing directly off without tearing or ripping any of that tape. So I'm just simply pulling the pieces that I want to glitter my single color first, and then I'm just doing it all at once, and then I'm going to apply the glitter directly on top of those spots. And once I dump my glitter on the design part here, I like to just pat it down just to make sure that it is fully sticking to that tape. So because we went with an iridescent glitter here, it is kind of hard to see in the video, but with the white base, it does kind of make these colors pop. However, if you wanted it to be more of a neon look, then I would recommend just base coating your tumbler to match your glitter. The easiest way to remove that excess glitter off of the tape is to just use a dry bristled brush. I think that's a technical term. Again, I'm not sure, but it's just one of the more like thicker or coarse haired brushes, and that will easily remove your glitter, so when you go to apply your next glitter color, you don't have colors mixing. So I'm just repeating the same process, and I'm removing the paper backing off of the next part of the design for my next color. Now here, you don't really have to worry about your other glitter color mixing in with the first color that you laid down. That bristled brush that I used in the first part of the video does do a really good job of making sure that the glitters don't mix together. However, I will say if you're working with a darker color to like a lighter color like white, then I would recommend doing the darker color first and then going in with your white. So with my particular design here, I did make it to where some of the design on the bottom is cut off, and that is intentional. You can move it around to as much or as little cut off as you'd like. So if you wanted to move the design to where the bottom had a little more space, you could absolutely go in with like a chunky color glitter and just cover that up as well. So once you have all of your smaller, little finer details done, now we're just going to peel the rest of the paper backing off of the entire cup, and we're going to do it just in sections at a time because it's not all going to peel nice and easy one go at a time, unfortunately. You want to make sure that you remember to get those little tiny pieces of paper that are in between the letters as well. So this next part here is a little bit difficult to tell on camera what it's actually going to look like, because this mica color has such a subtle shimmer to it, but it really is so pretty in person. So I'm just using an eyeshadow brush and I'm just rubbing in the mica powder directly onto the same tape in between all of my designs. Now if you get it on top of your glitter, that's totally fine, because that same brush will actually brush off any of that excess mica too. So I'm just going all the way around the tumbler and then making sure I get in between all of those fine little lines and the details and the words and the lemons, and I'm just making sure to rub it in a straight up and down line all over the tumbler. And then once that's fully covered, I'll just use that same brush and just brush off any of that excess mica. I chose not to seal mine before I epoxied, however you can definitely go back in and add a layer of clear coat over the top of your design before the epoxy. Now I just mixed up 15 milliliters each part A and B epoxy, and I'm just applying that over the entire tumbler, and you'll notice that my glitter nor my mica, none of that moved, even though I did not use my clear coat spray. So there are two steps here that I did after this that are not shown in the video. So I did go back in and I added just a small pinch of glitter just to the bottom of the tumbler and then kind of around in random spots just to give it an extra sparkle. I also added a decal just to kind of hide that seam since it wasn't lined up perfectly. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I can't wait to see what you create.